everybody. Here on my review of my morning toast that I did last year, the second one, and it was on the education system. And I had asked two questions. Um, One was, what change would you like to see in the education system today, and what would that look like? Two, if you have or would have kids, where would they attend school and why? Public, religious, private, or homeschooling? And later on, I learned about charter type schooling, which I never knew about. Um, Talked about topics like solutions, having more teachers in a room than just typically one, different classes like finances, um, emotions, uh, learning about what is love, project-based learning, meditation, experimental and outdoor learning classes like they do in Scandinavia already, real-life classes, getting rid of standardized testing and shifting to critical-based learning. There's be some more on that. I'll touch up on that in a little bit later. The next topic was understanding what type of learner each student is. Is it a visual, a reading, or a listening type of learner? That came up often in conversation. I talked about an education called Waldorf, also known as Steiner, emphasizing on the role of imagination in learning, and focusing on the artistic development of pupils, which I never knew about this education. It came up multiple times. Really interesting, and something I would personally definitely look into if I were ever to have children. Students choosing their own class for an hour or two. I thought that was a really interesting one. You know, building on what they already are excelling in or interested in. This would be for an hour or two max at a day, and then the other one was gamifying learning. From Peter Diamandis had talked about this. Some know who that is. And gamifying is really interesting. It's talking about moving through the education system like you would in games, where you complete a level and go on to the next level. And I thought that was really interesting versus, saying, hey, you get a 7 out of 10 on this project. And in gamifying, it's more so you get the reward by moving on to the next level by fully understanding that first level. And this is something that came up as well in the Sal Khan education, where he had talked about, we have in today's culture, we have a Swiss cheese type student where there's holes in what they've learned. So let's say a topic like math, and in grade 8 they are having struggles with math. Most likely it's because they didn't fully understand all the basis of math class in the earlier grades, and moving on to the next grade anyways without fully understanding it, and then later the problems would show up. And you know gamifying and what Sal Khan, that education, talked about would eradicate this, and I thought that was really interesting. um, so back to talking about the standard grade, from moving from grade to critical based learning. Um, this was a big topic that I talked to someone called Lisa Schaefer, a teacher and a consultant out in the West, and she talked about the importance of creating leadership um, in the teachers themselves so they can get that out to the students um, on a one-on-one level, and creating an informed thinkers and innovators and active participants versus what now she's seeing so much is that passive student. So that was an awesome conversation. And the second one that really stood out was one that I had with Sunny Verma at Tutor Bright. Um, and he's created something where there's 4 pillars to what he's doing. One was teaching failure. 2 was transforming from a grade system to progress. Third was measure effort versus result. And the fourth one is encourage trying and create a positive attitude and mindfulness. And if you want to know more about this, look it up. Tutor Bright, really awesome stuff. The second question, where I asked, would you, what type of schooling would you put your kids in, or if you have kids, or where are they in? And you know, often what people said about public school was, the culture and inclusion of being around all types of cultures was really important. Um, often though people talked about homeschooling and private schooling, that it's more one-on-one. Uh, it's also pricier, so there were the pros and cons to all of that. Um, and often what people said about religious schools was more so if someone had a great experience with it, they would recommend it again, mainly because it was great for them. Um, and yeah, I think that was the biggest takeaways from that. Overall, I think that the underlying consensus was that people were interested in a little bit of both or a little bit of one and included it all into one. So I think that would be really interesting to see where you have an aspect of, could be that publicly everyone is together in the morning, and it could be that in the afternoon everyone does online type learning, and that's more specific, something that's catered to them or what they're interested in, and then that will eventually also streamline into something that they could do um, post-secondary school. And I think that came up often too, is that people are not being channeled to something that they're excelling at or that they're interested in, and often they're coming to a post-secondary part of their life where they're not sure what they're doing. And I hear that so much now, that people going to university and they change their subject a year or two in because it's not what they wanted. And I think this could be already channeled into from grade 9 to 12, where you're really channeling towards something that you want to do post secondary to, and probably save a lot of money based on how expensive it is here in North America for school. Um, yeah, I think overall, I think it's easy to always say, there's this wrong, there's that wrong. Overall, as a nation, out of many nations on this planet, I think we're doing an awesome job, and that we can only learn from the mistakes and try to evolve. And I think what I've gotten from it was that the intentions are those, and yeah, I'm looking forward to just seeing what will happen in the future, where it all will go. And I thought a quote that which was fitting that I wanted to include it is, "Never let your schooling get in the way of your education," and that's always stood out for me, which was by Mark Twain, which most of you know. Um, and as an ending part, I want to introduce the new topic that I'll be doing this year, which will be on environment. And I end with these questions: what project are you working on? How can I add value to it? Uh, Hit me up personally, and I'd love to chat and share thoughts and feedbacks in the comment sections below. Subscribe, and thank you for watching. Have a wicked day.